Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is on Talk Talk's 1984 album called It's My Life, which is their second album of the five that they made in their career. And then also, this is the second time they've been featured on the channel with an album review. Looking at my notes, I did review their third album, Color of Spring, which got a 77 out of 100. Really strong album. Pretty close to excellent on my rating scale. It's just really close. This album, this is the single here for "It's My Life," the U.S. mix version with "Tomorrow Started" and "My Foolish Friend" on the B side. So it's a good single to have. This U.S. mix is, I wouldn't say it's more on the rare side, but it's a cool mix to DJ with. Plus, it's also on 45 RPMs on that side, so it sounds really good as well. Um, so yeah, important album here, and I think in somewhat in their career, sort of an underrated album. I think it blends the new wave period and the period to period to come, whether that be a more alternative rock or indie rock or just indie or even art rock. Some people call it art rock. Before it started those period, this album sort of did a little bit of that, and I think in that way it's underrated because I think a lot of people just kind of say that this is part of their new wave period, and they don't give it as much respect as it deserves, even though it's got probably their biggest hit on there with "It's My Life," and probably their one of their most beloved songs in "Such a Shame." Um, it's obviously got those two great songs going for it, but it's also got some really good secondary songs on there. I say secondary songs on there also a lot because you kind of think of like the big songs or the popular songs or maybe the best songs. Maybe it's a combination of the two, but when I say secondary songs, I think of maybe the more underrated songs or maybe the better songs to me, or some ones sometimes people forget about it, but they're equally as good as the legendary songs in some ways, but it's really close. I think of Renee, the track "The Last Time," and really "Tomorrow Started." Um, I think those tracks are really underrated in some respect, and it's I think it's a very well recorded album as well. Um, what else? What else? Mark Hollis. It's I don't know if I would say that Mark Hollis is a great singer, but he's very unique. And the thing that I like about Mark Hollis is he has a sort of a yearning in his voice, a conviction, and somewhat an agony. And I say that lightly, but he has a lot of desire in his voice. I find it endearing. Ultimately, it's kind of admirable, relatable in some ways, but it's also plain just perfect for this mix of synth pop and alternative music that it would become. And like on the next three albums, like an example, his performance in the track "Renee." It's just he's relatable, but he's got a lot of conviction in there and a lot of desire and maybe like hurting and also passion. I think maybe that's the biggest word I'm looking for is maybe passion in his voice. So when you think of the brilliance that's Talk Talk and you think of Mark Hollis, he's really the tie of the music and sort of that appreciation and that respectability and those accolades that he gets or Talk Talk gets or Mark Hollis gets. And it's mostly due to his voice, in my opinion, that really ties everything together. His really ability, his ability in his voice to, and really the passion that he puts into the music is really that I think makes Talk Talk get appreciated that much more. There's kind of ironic and tongue-in-cheek lyrics sometimes with Mark Hollis, but he does have really thoughtful lyrics. You know, you think of like the kind of silly lyrics like "Dum Dum Girl" or even "Such a Shame," but then you think of like Renee and "It's My Life" and stuff like that, and you know there is like a tongue-in-cheek in there, and but also like it's straightforward, pretty powerful lyrics, and I think it's very relatable again. I really like the piano in a lot of the songs that he uses. It definitely has like some moody keyboards, like in Renee and the piano in Dum Dum Girl. There's always like a good melody kind of going on in the songs um, that that Talk Talk do. The drumming is solid, and it seems like no matter what the song is, there's all and there is a feel of like a mix of a real drummer and drum machine on these. Um, Whatever the song kind of calls for, it's sort of a different drumming or a different drum effect, or there's a different drum sound, or you know, it's just it's or even just like the effects like over the drums, like in Renee. There's always a different sound to the drums, which is cool as well. The individual tracks scores, Dum Dum Girl, I give a 3 star. I think it's a very good track, even though it's kind of whimsical with the lyrics. Um, Such a Shame. It's a great track. I mean, what can you say? It's 4 stars. Renee, I really like 3.5 stars. It's My Life. I wouldn't fault anybody if they gave It's My Life 5 stars. It could be a 5 star track. I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm around 4.5 star on it. I don't think that's surprising to anybody that anybody would rate It's My Life 4 stars. Although I'd probably rate the Gwen Stefani version 3.5 stars because her voice is an opportunity. And the other thing, while I'm on it, let's just be honest. It's My Life. Is it a great cover song? I tend to not think so. 2 reasons. It's Gwen Stefani singing versus Mark Hollis, obvious. But do they do a good job with the tempo? Yeah, but it's pretty much straightforward. But and the rhythm of the song and the pacing of the song, it's not a hard song to really cover in a way. It's pretty straightforward, and they don't really do anything unique to it. The issue I have with it is the solo that bridges to the last part, which really takes it to the next level. Is it's a keyboard. It's originally a keyboard solo, and the cover version, um, they don't have the keyboard, so it's missing that. So I just think it's a it's a great song to cover, but I think they did a commendable but fairly average, decent cover to it, in my opinion. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that and doesn't praise Gwen Stefani and No Doubt for doing a great version, but I think it's kind of lackluster, and you can kind of it doesn't have the power because it doesn't have the keyboard. The keyboard is what makes the sound, and Mark Hollis and the chorus is what makes the song. Of course, and it doesn't really even have the moody feel and the sounds of nature in the background. Like there's a lot missing on the song that makes the song what it is. And I could easily say it's a 5 star track and an all time great, but I'm not quite there in an all time great. I think it's a new wave classic for sure, and it's close to it. But I got it at 4.5 stars. It's funny. I mean, I'm defending it at 4.5 stars, but I feel like I had to a little bit because probably most people that love new wave music would probably say it's a 5 star song if they were to give a 5 star song. I'm really close. Tomorrow Started. Wow, what a great song as well. 3.75 stars. And this is where I feel like this album, not this album, It's My Life, the album, it's it's verging on the next three albums in Color of a Spring and the next couple albums and their sort of alternative period because Tomorrow Started sort of has like the that sound to it and it kind of bridges it. Tomorrow Started could easily be um, on Color of Spring and sit in perfect with that album. And that's kind of why I mean that this album is underrated and it's sad that people just think this is a new wave album. This is not a new wave album at all. Um, Even Renee, you know, is not. And then the second half of this album, uh, when I think of Does Caroline Know and the last track, I don't think those are as new wave as people may think. And I think this album has a nice progression from the first album, Talk Talk, into Dum Dum Girl, and then Such a Shame, and It's My Life, and finishes on into what will continue to be the Talk Talk next second half of their career. But Tomorrow Started 3 3/4 stars. The Last Time is certainly more new wave in some respect. I feel like it does have a little bit like a Italo disco sound in there a little bit, but I think it's a fantastic, catchy track too. I got it 3 3/4 stars. Um, it's an interesting track. In some ways, you kind of feel like they're trying a little too hard on The Last Time, but man, that keyboard. There's a keyboard stab in there that's kind of dated sounding, but it's so simple and so perfect. It's like I think it's a magical song. It's a kind of a perfect. In some ways, it's kind of like when you think of like chorus or verses and chorus, verse and chorus. It's kind of like a perfect new wave song. I really enjoy The Last Time. I was really close to giving it 4 stars. Um, my least favorite song of the album is actually next, Calling the Night Boy. I got 1.5 stars, just not really feeling that track. Does Caroline Know? I think is better. It's kind of quirky a little bit. It's kind of has like an island kind of jazz, lounge, funk, synth pop sound going, but it's pretty cool. It's 2.5 stars. I don't get to the second half of this album a lot because the first half is so strong, and sometimes I always think the second half isn't that strong, and granted, it isn't as strong, but 2.5 stars. And it ends on a better note with the track "It's You." I give it 3 stars. So yeah, the overall, I add up the stars. 29.5 stars divided by 9 songs is this really strong 3.27. I give it a couple extra points. I compare it to Color of Spring, the next album. I think this album's just a touch better, just a touch. It's so close. You got, I think on Color of Spring there's 8 tracks. So if I took off the least track, the track I like least on this album, this album, 8 songs to 8 songs would compare almost equally to Color of Spring. Considering I like New Wave better, considering this album has probably their most strongest new wave track in It's My Life and probably their most cult track in Such a Shame from their new wave period, I kind of gave this album a 78 out of 100 and rated it 1 point better than Color of Spring. A great album. This is a great album. Really close to excellent as well. Maybe a one song away from being right there. It's really close. But I do feel it's underrated, and I gave it I when I compare it to Color of Spring, and you just think of the highs on this album and the supporting songs on here. Yeah, Color of Spring is probably a more artsy, better acoustic version, maybe better musicmanship on here. But this album has a little bit better, straightforward pop, new wave songs, maybe. You know what I mean? But still a combination of the Color of Spring sound. So it is really close. But I had to edge this one out just by 1 point. When I think of the overall album, obviously a very good album. It's close to an all-time classic of the new wave genre. It's really close. It shows the band can do both new wave while showing their change to making more of an art rock sound. There's creative sounds on here, excellent choruses, and a very good balance of songs and styles. You know, you got the ballad sort of on Renee, you got the powerful, you got some jazzy and all sort of lounge songs in here. You got some straightforward dance songs. You got some moody songs. Just a really good balance of their style, and I think again, an underrated album in some respects. I think it's kind of disappointing that some people think it's just a new wave album, and yeah, it's got "It's My Life" and maybe some "Such a Shame" on there, but that's pretty much all. No, like Renee, it's "Tomorrow Started," "The Last Time." Like it's got some really good secondary songs, and I think it's a good album. It may not flow as well as Color of Spring. I'll give Color of Spring that. Like Color of Spring flows. The songs are probably deeper, maybe a little bit more meaningful, but I think from a new wave perspective, this album is a little bit better, and it's so close. It could be one of those day of the mood things where you're if you're feeling a little bit more introspective, maybe more of a listening album, and probably the recording is a little bit better at Color Spring because it's newer and uses different recording techniques. I could see somebody liking, maybe even myself liking Color of Spring a little bit more. But when I think of a melodic and a more of a catchy, straightforward, and even a little bit of dance music, I think this album is better. You know, well, obviously it's better in dance music and I think in some ways melody, but maybe not musicmanship. But that's why the albums are so close. But I feel like, man, with "It's My Life" and "Such a Shame" on here, "Tomorrow Started," "The Last Time," Renee, I think this one edges it out on the premier higher level songs. Like it's got 5 songs that are 3.5, 3 3/4, and better. Where I don't know if Color of Spring has 5 songs that are 3.5. It's probably again very close as well. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Talk Talk. It's My Life. 78 out of 100. Very strong album. Very close to being a new wave classic. Very close. All right, thanks for watching. I'm curious to know what's your favorite 3 songs on here. Mine are "It's My Life," "Such a Shame," and really probably a tie between "Tomorrow Started" and "The Last Time." I love "The Last Time." It's a favorite. I'm probably overrating that a little bit, and maybe if I'm overrating a little bit, "Color of Spring" is definitely an album that's better. But I really think that track helps it kind of propel itself, this album, to be a little bit better. Again, just by 1 point, really close. Talk Talk, such a great band, and it's too bad there's only 5 albums they did, but there are some good B-sides if you find them as well. All right, thanks for watching.